All right. Good evening for anyone who's watching my live stream right now. Let me know if you can hear me good. All right, let's get started. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And my name is David. I've been doing IT for the last decade. I love what I do, and the purpose of these webcasts is to provide education about using IT tools to solve complex business problems. Many of these webinars will be existing solutions that we have implemented at our previous clients. However, I would like to try something new and have you guys submit your own real life business challenges. That means you have the control in what kind of future webinars I put on, whether it's something you see as a real pain at work or if you're a business owner looking for the competitive advantage. My team and I would love to hear from you, and we love tackling new challenges. This webinar today will be structured in three parts. First, I will explain the business challenge and the possible value of the solution. Second, I will run through the demo of the technology in order to meet the business requirements. Third, I will explain some of the underlying technology. We'll have a Q&A session at the end, and please hold your questions until that time. If you'd like to participate in the Q&A session, please log in to your Google account to the right to access the chat function. All right, let's get started. To explain the business challenge, I like to play the role as David, a sales rep at a company. It is just a typical day at the office until I receive the following email. So it looks like Fred at acme.com has sent me an urgent email, and he's saying that they have a shortage a supply situation at the Calgary factory, and they have an urgent need for 5,000 of my widget type A's to get them back into production. And he wants to know what the absolute earliest delivery date is, and he wants it as soon as possible. Now let's stop for a second and look at this email objectively. From the use of the words absolute earliest and ASAP, you can already guess this is a pants on fire situation for them. So if I was to able to help them out with this, I'm going to be the superstar with Acme Corporation, and it's going to go a long way towards building customer relations and goodwill, which could mean a lot more sales and more revenue in the future. Number two, since this is a pants on fire situation, you can bet that he's contacted all his other vendors in order to try to solve this situation. Thus, we don't have the time to sit around on this, and it's very likely he'll give preference to whoever replies to him first. Thus, this is an opportunity that we can't miss. Now, of course, we can call an emergency meeting with all of our buyers, warehouse staff, manufacturing managers, etc. But those of us who's been in the office, in the business long enough, know that it's gonna still take a while to get the answer, even with the most efficient of teams. This is where having the information at your fingertips in a situation like this will be critical. All right, now that I'm determined to respond quickly to get the sale, what should I do? First, let me open my trusty tool here. For this demo, I will be using the SAP's ECC6 system. Of course, you could be using a variety of other softwares to do this, but the functionalities will be very similar, and SAP's ECC6 is quite popular in industry with 55% of market share as of date. Now, before I go any further, let's review our email just to make sure we got the information right. He wants widget type A, and he wants 5,000 of it. Alrighty. So, of course, we type in that we need widget type A's, and let's go in. And here we go. So this is the availability check screen, and there's a lot of useful information on here. For example, we could find out how much stock do I have at the warehouse right now, and it looks like we have 1800. And here it will also show you the sales commitments to other customers. It looks like another customer has bought 1300 that we have not shipped, which is going to leave us about 500 in the warehouse at this very moment. So if of course, you could always drill in and find out who this customer is, and figure out whether that's something you can bump back a little bit. Now here, we have our planned orders. So planned orders in this instance means something that our factory is planning to produce in a future point in time. So just from all this information, we can ascertain that we have 500 in stock, so we could deliver that to Acme Corporation today. We have 2,500 coming in on November 16th, and we have another 2,000 coming in February of next year. So just from this information, it only took us a minute to open the screen. We got 500, 2,500, and 2,000, which gives us 5,000, and these are the dates at which they will become available. So if they really wanted a really fast answer to their question, we could just give them exactly this information right now, and they would know exactly when we could deliver to them. However, let's say, I've worked with Acme Corporation before, and I know this delivery on in February of next year is just not going to cut it because, as we've seen from Fred's email, the situation is very urgent. So I don't think they can actually afford to wait around for February of next year for us to deliver this 2,000 item to them. Now, what can I do? Because I really, really wanted this sale. One thing I could do is I could try to convince this customer over here, see if I can deliver to him a little bit later. But it's not always the best idea because this particular customer will not be happy about the delay. And at the end of the day, it's almost always about customer satisfaction. And I'm probably not going to go that route unless I have no other choice. Besides, it's probably not going to be enough to fill their order anyway. So the only other choice I see in this matter is if we can build this stuff sooner. So to see if we can get our factory to make our widgets sooner than this February date. All right. Now, for those of us in manufacturing, the key to understanding manufacturing is that in order for us to bring this earlier, we need two critical pieces of information. First, do we have the raw material pipeline to build it earlier? Second, do we have the labor and machine capacity? All right. So let's see if we can improve this date a little bit to make Acme Corporation happy. To do that, we will go into our supply situation for our particular widget type A. And it looks like we found this particular order for 2,000 pieces on February 1st of next year. I wonder what I can do to this. So let's go into the order. And I want it really fast. Let's see if we can get it, say, the 14th of this month. All right, so to do this, I will give this a shot. Okay, of course, it calculates the end date because it knows how long this will take in our factory. Now, from here, first of all, remember we need to check whether we have the raw material pipeline from our various vendors and lead times in order to support this kind of delivery date. I think this is quite ambitious to try to do it about a week from now, but let's give it a shot. So this tool that we have is called Component Availability Check. So this will check of our raw materials lead times and to make sure that we actually have the raw materials available from our vendors in order to make this particular manufacturing order. So, well, it looks like it's good. Do you know why? Because I put 2017. Of course, by that time, we'll absolutely have the enough material. So let me correct that. So make sure it's 2016 this year. And let's check our components again. So what this is telling you is that it looks like a lot of our raw materials for this particular to be able to make this particular widget is available, but it looks like we have a troublemaker here, which is widget raw 2 that's here, and it's missing. Hmm. We know that it's going to be missing in order for us to make it on 1116. But when am I actually going to be able to receive this? And it looks like 1124. See, it tells you right there that this is when you can expect this particular raw material to become available. Now, now that I have this information, okay, I understand. The earliest I can build this is 1124. So let's do that. And let's see what we get here. So let's check again. Oh, look at that. Because we managed to check our to change our start time to after the delivery from our vendor, it looks like we're able to make it, and all of the materials are going to be available for us to make it on 1125. Now at this point, are we pretty good? It looks like we did a significant improvement to bring it, from February of next year over to what it looks like it's going to be early December when we can actually make this. So are we done? Now the answer is we're actually not done because remember the second thing we need to check is whether we have the capacity to actually do this. All right, and to do that, we need to check the capacity. And it doesn't look very good. It looks like if we wanted to pull this order into our, late November timeframe, it's going to overload a lot of our work centers. And, it doesn't look like any of of these dates are going to be any good either. So, let's see what we can do with that. When can I actually slot this so that my capacity will be available to make this? Now, what it was when it was spinning around over there, it is actually checking all of the other orders that you have that uses this particular, work center that you use to do your work, and make sure that all of them are not affected before it gives you this information. It also gives them their requirements and their load into this information as well. So let's take a look. Well, we can't make it in November because remember we don't have the materials available. But it looks like this week might be okay. The 12, 14, 15-ish this week. All right. So let's give that a shot. Now, let's say I'm gonna try to get this delivered to me by the 19th. Now, our material is still good, and our capacity. Notice here's capacity check, no overload found. It means we are good to go for this as well. So that again, we checked if our raw materials are going to be good for this particular manufacturing date. We also checked whether our capacity is good in terms of labor and machine. So it looks like this is good as well. So I'm actually quite happy with these dates, and I will save. All right. You can see immediately that it changed in your supply that this is going to become available on 12/22, and that's when the manufacturing will be finished. Remember, it was at February 1st, 2017 before. All right. And If we go to our check screen again, and it looks like this information is being reflected here as well. So once again, we got 500 in the warehouse. We got a 2500 order coming in on 11/16. So this is our own manufacturing order. So this is supply that we can ship to our customer right away. And then because of all of the work we just did on 12/22/2016, we're able to deliver the rest of the 2,000 pieces. All right. So let's summarize what we did in the last 10 minutes. We managed to figure out the best possible delivery date for the customer based on our raw material supply, machine, and labor capacity. We figured out which of our other customers also wanted the same product in the approximate same time frame. We figured out what are our blockers both in material and capacity, which is preventing us from delivering it to them even faster. Now, this information is very important because in case Acme Corporation is not happy with these particular delivery dates, we can always use that information to try to get our products to them sooner. Now, and again, all of this is accomplished without affecting any other sale commitments and any other manufacturing commitments. Let's look at Fred's email again. It looks like we managed to knock the ASAP out of the water because in about, I don't know, 12 minutes, we are able to accomplish, what he's asking for. And and it looks like we are able to give him the absolute earliest delivery date as well because we were able to check our raw material supply as well as our capacity to be able to make this manufacturing order. All right, now that was the solution demo. So next I will explain some of the technical details in the background. I won't go into too much detail here, and you guys can contact me if you guys have any specific questions. First, let's talk about the ATP check. All right, so the thing with the ATP check is these are the things that you can make the system check or not check. And it looks like, you're able to check many of your types of stock that's currently in your warehouse. Things like quality inspection would be things, that are undergoing QA control. Blocked is things like, things that have quality problems that you definitely don't want to sell to the customer. So you have a lot of options here. Replenishment lead time stands for if I gave my a widget a replenished lead time of say 3 months, then any any customer orders that come after the 3 months checkpoint will actually be deemed available. All right, and on this side, we have some of the supply and demand elements that could affect your ATP check. For example, do you want it to check purchase orders in case, in case our thing could be purchased as well? Do you want it to consider other sales requirements? And usually you will want to check this because or else you're not considering other customers' requests as well. Now, some of these, so here we have planned orders and production orders. So these are different types of manufacturing promises that could be given to us as supply. So we could elect to check some or all of them as well. So this is the setting for our ATP check. Now, in more advanced SAP tools, such as the GATP function in APO, these options are further expanded into, I think, about 50 to 60 different options. But what I find is that usually a company using these options can get what they need already. All right, then next, let's talk about MRP and your supply chain overview. So MRP, for those of you guys who don't know, is about calculating what the supply is and what the demand is, and to give you proposals in what you should be making to meet particular demands. And in this case, we have 1,800 in stock, and then we have customer order, which is seen as as type of demand, and then we have forecast. So these are things that you think the customer will buy. So obviously, widget here for us is a make to stock sort of material, so that these guys here are your forecasts for next year that you think the customer will buy. And then based on these forecasts, MRP will generate these planned orders for you in order to meet those particular demands. Now, the other fun thing here is how is it actually calculating capacity? Now, capacity is very interesting because there is capacity requirements and available capacity. So your available capacity is going to be the the available hours that your work center has. So for example, here we could set that your shift starts at 8, you end your shift at 5:30, you have a break of 1 hour. So that gets you about 8.5 hours to every day to manufacture this. And it looks like you have 6 resources who are on this schedule. So your total available capacity is going to be 51 hours. And of course, you can set up your shifts and things like that to play around with this. Depending on whether you have machine maintenance times or if you have workers calling in sick. Now, this is the available capacity every day, and then of course this is going to be available every day, and thus getting you the overall capacity for the entire month. Now, if we look at, if you're wondering where the capacity load is going to come from, the load is actually going to come from your routing. So what a routing is simply just a collection of different steps that you do to be able to make your particular widgets. Now, in the routing, you can maintain how long it takes to do a certain amount. So in this case, I've set up that it takes 1 minute on the machine and 1 minute of labor to manufacture one widget A. So of course, this scales up based on the number of quantities in your production order. So for example, if this was 1,000, then it will take 1,000 minutes of machine and 1,000 minutes of labor. Thus giving you the machine, thus giving you the capacity load, right? So really, what capacity, when we did the capacity check, what it's really doing is it's comparing the capacity load in order to make 2,000 of widgets. So let me go back to here, and I could show you a little bit. So it looks like that it knows that in order to make widget A, you actually need 33.3 hours. So it calculates the amount of capacity that you need in order to make this amount of goods. Now, and this compares it against, remember, the 8 to 5 shifts that we have, and it tries to see whether you guys have enough available capacity in order to make it. Alrighty. So that's going to be my explanation for the configuration behind this. Like I said, I don't want to focus too much on the technicalities behind this. So if you guys have any specific questions, you can always contact me. All right. So let's. At this time, I would like to turn the mic to the floor just to see if you guys have any questions for me. All right. Okay. So we have Teresa here. Did you have a question, Teresa? Yeah. I think there is something. Okay, here we go. How long does it take if I wanted to implement this at my company? All right, that is a great question. So the availability check that I've just showed you guys, obviously it's a very powerful piece of tool. And if you guys search around, um, this is going to be, one of the things that's going to be very useful for your company in order to, increase your customer satisfaction because your customers really, really want, to have a clear answer and an accurate answer in order to, when they place an order with you. So to answer that question, how long it would take? Now, I will give you an example. This particular system over here, along with things like purchasing, sales, capacity planning, production planning, it is going to take about a year for a company of about 250 employees. And I've used a team of 5 to accomplish that. Of course, that's going to vary a wide amount depending on how big your company is, so how many employees you have, how complicated your business processes are. For example, if you have drop ship, if you have subcontracting, all of that will increase the time it will take to blueprint and configure the software. And of course, it also depends on the number of integrated systems that you have. For example, if you guys have a manufacturing execution system, if you have any software that has to integrate with this particular system, then all of that will vary the time and the effort required as well. All right. Okay. And of course, when I said a year, that included a lot of business meetings with the stakeholders to make sure that we got the requirements correct. We configured and developed the system. We loaded all the master data. We went through rounds and rounds and rounds of testing just to make sure just to make sure the solution met with the requirements. And also we had training and go live support. So all of that is already included in the time that it took. All right. Okay. Let's see if there are any other questions. If not, you guys can always message me, and I will add a link later on to this particular video. This video will be uploaded to YouTube for directions on how to contact me, and you guys can shoot over any questions that you guys have. And remember, at the beginning of this video, I said that I'm very excited to try something new, which is to have you guys submit, something that you guys see at work that could be a real pain. And if you're a business owner looking for a solution to any problems, then I'd be happy to hear those as well. even if I can hear your suggestions, then I can plan some more seminars based around solving these real issues. All right. So thank you very much, you guys, once again, and that's it for now.